Animal Crossing: New Horizons may have its fair share of problems, but players are ultimately spoiled. New Horizons is the most popular Animal Crossing game to date, having sold over 13 million copies in its first 6 weeks, more than the lifetime sales of every other Animal Crossing game combined. However, 2 years after its release, many fans have expressed disappointment at the game's lack of upcoming DLC or notable new features. New Horizons is the 5th installment of the Animal Crossing franchise, which first launched with Mbutsu no Mori for Nintendo 64 in 2001. Since its inception, the game has maintained its core premise: players must pay off their mortgage with bells and try to become the richest villager in Animal Crossing while tending to an island inhabited by animal villagers. With the release of New Horizons, however, the Animal Crossing franchise was revolutionized. Suddenly, players could craft tools and furniture, terraform and design their islands, and with the recent 2.0 update, cook seasonal recipes. True to its name, New Horizons breathed life into a franchise that had otherwise remained relatively unchanged for almost 20 years. However, some fans were frustrated to find that the 2.0 update would be the game's last. Nintendo has officially announced that it will not be releasing any major new updates for New Horizons henceforth. Given the game's slow-paced, repetitive nature, many ACNH players eventually run out of stuff to do and are motivated by continual updates and new content in order to keep returning to their islands. Nevertheless, New Horizons is Nintendo's most generous Animal Crossing game to date, and fans may need to factor in previous Animal Crossing titles when criticizing New Horizons. New Horizons is the only Animal Crossing game to receive a huge update. Despite the fact that New Horizons will not receive further major updates, players are already spoiled as many of the previous Animal Crossing installments never received any updates at all. The only exception is Animal Crossing: New Leaf for Nintendo 3DS, which got one update, Welcome Amiibo, in 2016. Welcome Amiibo added 2 main functions. It allowed the player to summon Amiibo villagers to join their campsite, and it enabled save file integration with the separate game Animal Crossing: Happy Home Designer. In comparison, the New Horizons November 2021 Animal Crossing's 2.0 update included many new additions and characters to the game. Not only did it bring back characters such as Brewster and his cafe and captain's boat tours, but it also included gyroids, additional villagers, new furniture sets, and the ability to cook recipes. Considering how few updates previous Animal Crossing games have received, players today are lucky to have received the 2.0 update free of charge. New Horizons could learn some things from older Animal Crossing games. It goes without saying that New Horizons is not a perfect game. Some fans have continually criticized certain aspects of its gameplay since its release, and the 2.0 update failed to address these potential problems. For example, New Horizons multiplayer function leaves much to be desired. As it stands, players with Nintendo Online memberships can interact with other players in multiplayer mode by catching bugs, going fishing, or frolicking around their islands together. However, many players have been unsatisfied with the lack of mini-games available in online play. Some have argued that New Horizons needs more mini-games like Animal Crossing: New Leaf. Tortimer Island hosted a range of mini-games such as races and mazes, and subsequent exclusive medals and prizes, which many players found entertaining well into the game's late stage. New Horizons' limited mini-games and multiplayer functions are a valid criticism compared to other Animal Crossing games. Another potential loss compared to previous Animal Crossing games is the villagers' personalities and dialogue. Each Animal Crossing game has included 8 different personality types for the animal villagers: cranky, snooty, lazy, normal, jock, peppy, smug, and sisterly. However, their dialogue has changed dramatically over the years. In the original game, certain snooty or cranky villagers used to be real jerks who would offer narcissistic, insulting, or otherwise savage remarks regarding other unwitting villagers or the player's sense of fashion. In New Horizons, some players find the villagers' dialogue options to be repetitive and watered down, as each personality type is limited in its conversational topics. Lazy villagers usually talk about naps and snacks, whilst jocks only discuss weight training, and so on. New Horizons villagers arguably lack the bite and charm of those in older titles such as the 2001 and 2005 installments. There is also the problem of the restricted number of islands a player can create. One of the game's very first decisions involves the player choosing the shape of their island, and further on into the game players can terraform to create lakes, rivers, hills, and pathways. This is one of the best received features of New Horizons, as it has allowed for a range of creative island designs inspired by games such as FNAF, films, series, and real-life countries and cities. However, since New Horizons only permits the player a single island, many players now feel unable to proceed in the game, as they are unwilling to abandon their current islands but have completed their intended designs with nothing more to build. While this is a problem that prevails across all Animal Crossing games to date, New Horizons' failure to address this issue has lost potential returning players. Players should appreciate what New Horizons has brought to the franchise. Despite this, New Horizons is still the most critically and commercially successful Animal Crossing game thus far, and players should ultimately focus on what the game has brought to the franchise rather than what it lacks. As well as cooking, crafting, and other new gameplay features, New Horizons is also the first Animal Crossing game to include an integrated DLC option, Happy Home Paradise. Whereas players who wanted to design villagers' houses previously had to purchase the game Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, the DLC Happy Home Paradise gives players additional furniture sets and the ability to customize houses across their island. The DLC is also available for those with a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack subscription at no additional cost. With ongoing event updates, a plethora of cooking and crafting recipes, and so many groundbreaking features within the Animal Crossing series, New Horizons has made its name as the most popular and accessible Animal Crossing game to date. Nintendo's 2 years of continued support for the game and a free substantial DLC is far more generous than what any other Animal Crossing game has received in the past, and while many fans may still be wishing for an Animal Crossing sequel, Animal Crossing New Horizons may well be the best game they can hope for.